Hi guys, this is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels, and today it's so much fun for me to be on a Zoom and to be here in the United States and to be talking to someone all the way around the world. I have today an individual who has created an organization called We Get Outdoors, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. For those that are not familiar with J Cooper Travels and what I'm doing, I just want to share the purpose of J Cooper Travels is to provide or have inspiring stories of individuals who have followed their passions and created businesses or possibly explored things outside of their comfort zone. And that's why I love the idea of talking with Robert about We Get Outdoors, because sometimes, doing things outdoors is a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but it's also something that's a lot of fun. So thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm magnificent. Thank you.
So explain to everyone who's listening where you are and how you got started.
Wow. So I'm originally from the UK and have lived all over the world. And today you find me living in South Africa. So genuinely, I am across the other side of planet Earth from you. And I've been getting out in the outdoors in different ways since a very, very, very young age. And every time I try and leave the outdoors as something that I do for a career, I managed to leave for a little while and then I end up back again. It's almost like a magnet that keeps drawing me back. So a few years ago, when I moved to South Africa, I tried leaving the outdoors as a place where I was a professional and have been very, very successful as a business coach and a business consultant. Very, very. I've got clients all over the world, CEOs of multi-billion-dollar businesses, very good at it. And 18 months ago, I was just sat there going, I really like the people who want to get out in the outdoors. I really want to go and spend some more time with them. And what could I do? So my business partner in the consulting business, he likes going hiking. So we said, well, we'll just set up a Facebook page about the outdoors and about sharing experiences in the outdoors and photos and whatever else. And that was, I suppose, just under 18 months ago. And since then, about 50,000 people have jumped onto the Facebook page and liked it and shared their experiences. And then they started saying to us, well, we'd like to have some of this, or we'd like to have some of that, or we'd really like to hear from other outdoor experts. And could you interview them? Or we'd really like to do the outdoors as a business for ourselves, just like you do. Can you help us? And so we set up a business with no plan, in as much as the plan was just to listen to the people. And when enough of them say, we'd really like you to help us do that or this, that we would, if it was within what we could legitimately and ethically do, we would go and do it. And it's just this evolving thing of getting people outside, getting them enthused, giving them platforms to share their knowledge and experience, and supporting some of them to follow their passion and turn their passion into profit. And I guess that's been our journey, really.
Yeah, no, that's great. So We Get Outdoors is located where? If someone wanted to connect with you, also for those that might not be familiar with the podcast or YouTube, there's always a block of information below. So that way, if you're driving or listening and you don't have paper and pen, don't fret. You can just kind of revisit the podcast and, gather the information. The links will be below. And if you forget any of the links that we share, just remember JCooperTravels@gmail.com, and I will send you that information. But how would they get to you? So
very, very simple. The easiest two platforms are probably Facebook and YouTube, and literally facebook.com/We Get Outdoors. Or youtube.com/We Get Outdoors will drop you right into huge amounts of contents and huge amounts of people who enjoy the outdoors. I'd just like to say, Jacqui, as well, that we've got people who enjoy the outdoors as much as from bird watching in their back garden all the way through to climbing Mount Everest. And within what we're doing, by magic, there feels to be a place for everybody. The people who have genuinely climbed Mount Everest, they like really seeing the pictures of the birds in people's gardens, and vice versa. So it's just a really nice community to be part of and to get inspired by.
Well, you know what, as you're talking, the thing that, pops into my mind is not just the variety of people or the variety of places, but the impact. I know they might not be joining for impact, but the impact that they can have because they are bringing awareness to our environment and our earth, and the importance to respect and maintain, because all these places are so valuable to us. And, I got into travel because I love exploring cities and cultures and having new experiences. And that includes, outdoors, obviously, because if you're walking around, being outdoors doesn't just have to be, like you said, on a mountain. It could be in a city and in a park. So, we, as a community, we have the ability to share our joy as well as the information. So that way, if we see that we need to maybe help out an area, we're able to kind of support that as well. Has your community gotten involved with different special topics or things like that?
Not on a grand stage. Pardon me. Not on a grand stage. I and my ethos is linked to two things. One is that I firmly believe that if people love something, they'll look after it. And I mean genuinely love it. Love it like you love your child or your partner or your dog or whatever it might be. If you love it, you'll look after it. And I think that the world has got more and more and more indoors. And therefore, we've lost the connection with being outdoors and the love of being outdoors. And therefore, it's no surprise that we haven't been looking after it. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, and this came from a bit of inspiration from Elon Musk the other year, and he did an interview, and I can't remember the exact data, but it was something like we could pretty much bring climate change to a stop if everybody who owns a vehicle drives it for 10 miles a month less. And we could press pause on climate change. And that struck me as that actually we could do things on grand stages, but if all of us just took a little bit of individual responsibility and said, I'm going to drive 10 miles less every month, or I'm going to recycle my plastic, or whatever it might be, I'm going to turn all the lights off in my house apart from the room that I'm in. The little differences all coming together will actually have a big impact. And so I'm very much focused on the idea of individual accountability and responsibility. And so it might not seem like a lot, but I'm hoping that actually everybody's little bit they do will all come together and make a big difference. And I guess that's where we are at this point in time.
I love that. I love that, especially because, some of the organizations and areas that I follow, they are involved with, picking up the litter and doing things outdoors from a cause perspective. And I think that we can be outdoors both from personal enjoyment, and also health and healing. As well as, in support of others. What is some of the more unusual postings that you have seen in your Facebook group? Where are some of the places that people have been?
Wow. So one of our members or one of our followers is a mountain guide and has summited Everest as a guide 9 times.
Wow.
So in terms of in terms of a post, we've had a post from the top of Mount Everest, which is that's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It is.
And then we've had all sorts. In fact, my business partner Mark goes out and picks out like the picture or post of the week, and we've had a sunset from Central Park in New York, which is not Mount Everest, but actually the image was just as eye-catching. The reason why they were there and what they were doing was just as eye-catching and appealing. We've had that. Wow. I posted something in January last year. I was with some clients in the African bush, and we got charged by some elephants. And one of the clients managed to get that charge of elephants on his iPhone. So we popped that up. But from all over the world, what I really like is it's very easy to jump on a plane and go and say, I've got this huge destination that I want to go to, whatever your version of Mount Everest is. And it's going to be different for everybody. Maybe it's, I don't know, traveling around in Rajasthan in India or somewhere like that. But equally, you can drive an hour from your house and find huge amounts of places that people rarely go to and that are unexplored, and have amazing half-day, full-day, or weekend getaways that are great for your physical and mental health, are beautiful, and people rarely go there. It just takes a little bit of an exploring attitude, and off you go. And so in some respects, I actually value the hour away from my front door sort of posts. I actually value those more than I do the Rajasthan in India, because Rajasthan's very obvious if that's where you want to go to. A little park an hour from your front door is not obvious, but can be just as beautiful.
I agree with you. I love traveling. I started to travel when I was young, and I'm a single mom, and I've always made sure that I have planned trips so that way she could love travel and experience it, both different locations around the world as well as locally. And what I realized, because we've been over to Tanzania, we've been to Europe and to the UK and other places, but I also realized here in the United States, there's equal beauty and places to explore. And so, we've taken a lot of road trips, so that way we can check out our history. And in checking out the history, we've been outdoors. And so one of the things with J. Cooper Travels that I've started for this year is a virtual road trip. And in addition to interviewing individuals, and I'll just offer this, I know that you and I are going to have a continuing series of conversations. So for everyone, definitely subscribe and like, so that way you can keep up with everything that we're going to be talking about. I also am interviewing for the road trip across the United States. I'm interviewing mayors of different cities, so that way they can feature and highlight areas within their community that we might not know about, because our 50 states is so large and they're so varied in terms of geography and places. I mean, I've been to the Grand Canyon, I've been to Yosemite, I've been to California, but there are places that I haven't been to yet that I know are equally beautiful and just exciting. The other thing that I just want to share and offer to your listeners too, because I know that those that are following you are going to be listening as well. If anyone is interested in being interviewed and to share their experiences of where they've gone, because the podcast is all about travel and personal journeys, I welcome individuals reaching out to me, because I think that everyone has a story that can inspire someone. And especially because of our now being temporarily housebound or restricted because of COVID. Your stories are the virtual stories that keep us energized, because we will be moving around again, and a lot of people in a lot of countries are moving around, but I look forward to getting on the airplane to meet you in person. I would love to be able to travel and, again, and I know it will happen, explore other places that I haven't been to yet. I have a long bucket list.
I know the feeling on the bucket list. I've worked, lived, and traveled to every continent apart from Antarctica. That's
Wow.
my only place I haven't been to. And every one place that I go to, my bucket list grows by another 10 places. You bump into a whole load of people. And I spent the other Christmas, I spent 6 weeks in India and on my own. And you've only got that limited time period, and yet you bump into somebody in a coffee shop, a tea house, a bar, a restaurant, and you get talking and they say, have you been to? And you're like, oh no, I haven't. And they show you the photos and you're like, oh my goodness me. And then there's 10 more places, but you've still only got your itinerary and your trip, and then your bucket list just grows. So I often say that traveling's as addictive as a Class A drug, because when it gets under your skin, you just can't stop doing it.
It's true. I love what you're saying. When my daughter and we went to our London trip that I'll describe in a second. We just packed with a backpack and a small wheelie, and I booked. Which I'll share with everyone in a second, that information, but I booked just the hotel going in and the hotel going out. And then we did not plan anything else. We went we did a circle. We had a train pass, a rail pass. So we went all over. We went up to Scotland and around to Wales, and we did a circle. But as we were on the various trains and deciding which day we wanted to go where, we met someone. They said, well, you can go and do the Harry Potter train. And we said, where's that? And they gave us the city name, which was up in Scotland. And so we looked on the map and we said, okay, well, we can take this, we can go there, and then we can be there. So we did that. And it was like, we knew we only had a set amount of time in the countries, and we were going to have to kind of give and take where we went and what we saw. But it was phenomenal. It was just wonderful.
So did you go over the Harry Potter bridge in between Fort William and Mallaig? I know exactly where you are. There's an incredible canoe expedition that you can go and do that actually gets on, because the lake or the loch just there is called Loch Shiel.
Yes.
And so you can park up in that car park by the Harry Potter bridge, for want of a better way of describing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can canoe down the loch, and then you can go down a little river into the sea, and then into another loch, and then another little river, and finish in Mallaig. And it's sort of 5 or 6 days, but it truly takes you into some of the most remote parts of Scotland where you won't see a car for 5 or 6 days. It's one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth.
It was, it's so funny. I love the training experience because, my daughter would say, why don't you drive? Well, then I'm not looking at the scenery, I'm looking at the road. So by training, you are off the beaten track because you're not on the roads. And so that was a beautiful, beautiful way to go. But I love your idea of doing that. And we did see some individuals below the train waving to us, because again, there were both tourists and locals and other people who were taking hikes and doing things, all in that. It was just the change of geography, from the highlands to the lowlands and back again. And then the change from the trees, the dark green to like just land, and that's just amazing to me how our world can just, in just a few hours change. It's just beautiful, just beautiful.
You can experience that change even in the US. It's very easy to experience that. I've spent a lot of time on the West Coast. So you could start in the center of Seattle, and you've got Amazon and Starbucks and all those big businesses, Microsoft in Redmond there. and you just drive inland and you go over the Cascades and then head down towards like Coeur d'Alene and Idaho. And the world changes about you in just that 4-hour journey. Everything changes. And I think we all have to remember just how fortunate we are to go and have these opportunities to go and experience that.
Yes.
And sometimes maybe we even need to slow down a little bit to go and soak it all in a bit more. That's why I love your train thing, because you can soak stuff in from a train, whereas from a car, especially if you come from the US and you're driving in the UK, it's not just driving, you're driving on the wrong side of the road, and the handbrake's on the wrong side, and the gear stick's on the wrong side, and the steering wheel's on the wrong side. And you're not taking in that much because you're busy concentrating on everything being on the wrong side. So a train makes so much sense.
Yes, it does. And also I love to meet people. And when you're on a train, it's easy to just kind of look across the aisle and say, how are you doing today? Where are you from? And, that whole conversation, I remember again on a different train trip where we were going actually to explore the gardens at Shakespeare's house, which is just beautiful. And for those that are in the UK, please forgive me. I don't remember the name of the event where everyone gets dressed up with the tall hats. And I think it's where they're watching the horses, and
like the Cheltenham Gold Cup probably, or something like that.
Maybe. So we were in a train and everyone was all dressed up, and there was a gentleman there with his top hat and his tux type of suit, and we were talking, and he looked at my daughter, and I said, would you guys like to go? And I thought it was joking, and maybe I should have taken him up on it, but I thought, well, we're not dressed to go, and so we kind of chuckled about it. Maybe I should have said, yes, how can we do that? And, who knows, maybe he had extra tickets, maybe an opportunity lost, but that's okay. You just never know who you're going to meet and the conversations you're going to have. So, again, I want to make sure everyone knows how to find you. So tell everyone again how to connect with you on your various platforms.
Cool. So the two easiest platforms are Facebook and YouTube. So you can simply go to facebook.com/We Get Outdoors or youtube.com/We Get Outdoors, and you'll get to go and check out our little world.
So I know that we're going to be talking, on a variety of topics over the next few months. But one of the things that you mentioned, for those that do want to get involved, on the Facebook, obviously posting and getting involved is great. But you also have a business side of this. And I know there are a lot of people in my connections on LinkedIn who are business individuals. Do you want to just briefly mention, if they do have an interest in becoming involved with what you're doing, just how they could do that?
Yeah, so we've obviously got a website. It's a bit rustic, but it is a website, wegetoutdoors.co. So you can go there and find out more about us. The business side comes from several bits and pieces. Firstly, I've been a relatively successful coach and consultant for quite a few years now, probably 16 years actually. We suddenly became aware with our audience that there was two problems in the outdoors that we could solve. One was the traditional business model of most outdoor businesses is pretty broken. And we became aware that we could go and work with outdoor business owners and help them put a better business model in place for themselves that is sustainable, that allows them to go and achieve those goals, those whys that they had when they originally set up their business. So that was a thing. And then we got some feedback from some of our followers, for want of a better word of describing them, amazing tribe of people, that they would like to learn how to do what I've done. I've built 2 adventure sports businesses and sold them. And they would like to turn their passion in the outdoors into profit. And so then we also have a franchise opportunity where we sell an outdoor business in a box that that enables people to not go and fall into the traps that 99% of outdoor business owners do fall into. And also not become one of those entrepreneurial statistics. You know, they always say 8 out of 10 small businesses fail in the first 2 years, blah, blah, blah. Well, how we go about this business prevents that from happening. In fact, we've got a 100% success rate so far in the past 9 months since we've launched this. So, so if people are curious about doing that for themselves, jump on the website, book some time with one of us, and let's have a conversation. We're not salespeople. In fact, we hate selling stuff, which is kind of weird for business people. We really like the idea of partnerships, getting into a partnership with somebody where they're happy that they're going in the right direction and they're happy that they're doing it in partnership with us. And the money side of things takes care of itself afterwards. And when we originally started, we tried selling, and we found that the relationships weren't as powerful as we wanted them to be. And we found, since we've started having honest discussions with people and forming partnerships, that actually they're happy, we're happy, and it feels like you go to work every day to work with friends who you want to hang out with, as opposed to a business acquaintance. And that fills my life with happiness to do that every day.
And I'm all about passion. I mean, that's something that I kind of thought about in, the new year and everything else that's been going on is, and I've told my daughter this too over time. If you're not doing something that you're passionate about, then leave it, because again, if you're not happy, our life journey is short, even though it feels long while we're in it. And so because of that, do things you love, because then the time will be filled with a lot more joy, and it will just, that's one of the reasons why, I laugh at when I reflect on my own personal career journey, from being an attorney to a special educator to being an entrepreneur. I've hopped in different places, but they all have a thread of service and helping others, but they also all follow my passion. And so I have no regrets about any weaving on my career path, because each day for me is a pleasure. And that is something, even though, obviously we all, and that's why we go outdoors, is to kind of get refreshed. Sometimes we do get burnt out, but it's not because of not doing things that I love. So I definitely, I applaud what you're doing. I ask people to definitely connect and, to the Facebook group, We Get Outdoors. I would say also like and subscribe to J. Cooper Travels podcast, so you can learn more about the stories of individuals who are following their passions. And even if you haven't figured out what your passion is, there might be something that you're doing or something that you hear that you can become involved in that will kind of have you bring more happiness and joy to you. Also,
can I offer a piece of advice to people around passion? Would that be all right?
Yeah, go right for it.
So, the whole idea of follow your passion has been very heavily bounced around in the entrepreneurial world for maybe the past 10 to 12, maybe 15 years.
Yes.
And yet we all know thousands of starving musicians, starving artists. Do you know what I mean? We all know those people. And I often think that a real passion has got a degree of creativity attached to it. And I think that what we have to understand is that if we want to go and take our passion and not be the starving artist or the starving musician or, so what, the broke person, is actually the creativity isn't necessarily around being an artist or being a photographer or whatever it may well be. The creativity is actually, how do I do what I love and not go broke at the same time? Yep. And so the creative part is working out, how do I solve genuinely painful problems for people through this medium that I'm passionate about? And a medium could be law. I mean, you mentioned you were an attorney. You could be passionate about law, but equally lawyers generally sell their time by the hour. and get very heavily restricted by that because there's only so many hours in the week, year, month, so on and so forth. And so if we want to follow our passion, what we actually have to do is get creative about what problems we really solve. And I think that's the real key, because just to follow your passion, well, we could just end up like a broke artist. And I don't want to hear or see any of my friends, listeners, or any of yours drop themselves into that trap.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. There's many layers here, many levels. And like I said, we're going to be having many conversations, and one of the conversations might be, how do you develop your passion? What things do you need to be thinking about so that way you can enjoy it, and also it can produce an income to continue that joy. The one thing that I also want to mention before we sign off, and again, thank you everyone who's listening. I will be putting into my little block of information access to my wholesale booking platform where you can save up to 35% on your own travels. There is no cost to connect and to activate it. Every time you activate it, it does generate a donation to our foundation. So that way families are fed by donations to Mono Relief and Children's International. So definitely check out the I Go for Less portal. As I said, it is free to use. The prices on there are less than Expedia Priceline, and it also has a 110% price match guarantee. So the code that I pop in there might expire. And if that happens, just email me and I'll give you a new code because it is time limited. But again, I want to thank you so much for being on. I've really enjoyed our conversations. I look forward to our future discussions of what you are doing and everything that where you've gone, and the list just goes on and on.
I can't wait. And if I could encourage everybody who listens to go get outside, get outdoors, go have some fun with family and friends. Get healthier and do it even if it's raining. Just say heck to it. We've all got tumble dryers and washing machines. So go out there and enjoy the world and do your little bit to look after it. That would fill my heart more than you could ever believe. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. So thank you so much. I will talk to you soon and have a great day. Thank you.
And you, Jacqui. Thank you.